find it hard to explain the reasons why I make the different sorts of music that I make. I'm consciously trying not to think about it, because when you hear a track that you love, it's not like a thought process of why you love it, you just love it. I decided to move to Brixton because it just feels familiar. Everyone from my school used to come here at weekends to go raving to drum and bass in mass. It was the first place I went out and heard club music, for real. I'm trying never to use a laptop live, even when it comes to performing my own stuff, just because I don't like the way that it looks when you're standing on stage looking at a laptop, because you could be doing anything. The first person I ever saw use an MPC was RJD2, and he played it live. I went to a gig in Paris, and I'd already fallen in love with his album Dead Ringer, which was the thing that made me want to start producing in the first place. So yeah, he was the guy. I've never actually learned how to produce on an MPC. It's the easiest way to do electronic music live, but I much prefer taking my time on something on a computer. I want to try and make some instrument with a company, maybe Akai, who'd make the MPC, that kind of makes things a bit more human in terms of performance. I have some ideas about how to do it, but it's just all up in my head at the moment. So I hadn't considered performing my own stuff live for a while because I have to make more of my own music first. The majority of the stuff that I'm working on now is the XX stuff. We're just about to start recording. Hopefully we'll get it done in time to be able to do festivals next year, because that's the most fun. As with everything with the XX, try and keep it simple. So I just use Logic and a Space Echo and a bunch of preamps and occasionally some Casios. Most of the drum sounds that I make are samples, layered, 10 different samples from 10 different funk tracks or something. But I don't really like just taking something and putting it in as is. There's a bunch of disco records which just sound incredible. I've never been able to achieve that quality of just the sound of a snare or something. That's what I aspire to do. We've all come back off tour and kind of been partying a little bit more. We left when we were 17, and missed out on that chunk of our lives when everybody else was partying. So club music has definitely had an influence on the next record. I've kind of had some dream collaborations in the past year. The ones that I've enjoyed the moments of realisation that I'm making something good were the Florence one, the Adele one, and by the end of the album, the Gill one. When I'm doing a remix, I usually try and think of it as just sampling a track that I love and working around that rather than thinking about the artist too much. Because Gill was such a big deal in my life before I even started making music, my parents had played him as I was growing up, and one of my art teachers in secondary school kind of reintroduced me to his stuff. So it was a real honour to be asked to do that. There were a few tracks on there that I'd taken from his earlier recordings from the 70s, and he wasn't too sure about putting them on something that was about being new. I wanted it to be kind of half about him and half about me, since it was kind of a collaboration, and I wanted to show his influence from his earlier work on me, which is why I put them in, and then he was fine with it. There's been so many highlights, it's completely unbelievable. When I stop to think about everything that's happened and how lucky I am, it's kind of hard to believe. One of the highlights was playing at Shepherd's Bush Empire, because it's a venue that we all grew up with, and it's beautiful, and the gig just went perfectly, and just one of those things where everything comes together, and it was amazing. And playing at Coachella as well last year, with the sun setting and Beyonce and Jay-Z in the front singing along and 50,000 people all kind of enjoying your music. It was madness. I never thought I would enjoy standing up in front of 5,000 people and them all being focused on me. But actually, when I don't think about it and I just go out there and do it, it's the best time ever.